Welcome to Mem3. This is a series of conversations thinking about how humans make meaning in a world shaped by science, technology, and the systems that built us. I'm Kendra Oliver, and I'm joined by Leah Russell Flaherty, a clinical psychologist focused on resilience, behavior, and adoption. M3 lives at the intersection of big ideas in everyday life. Alongside conversations about art, science, psychology, and AI, we sprinkle in little moments that happen at home, questions to our kids, family conversations, and other ways of showing up in our daily lives. Because how we talk about these ideas with our children often reveal what really matters. In this first episode, we're exploring how artistic expression can transform scientific creativity and connection, and why love and empathy are foundational to building resilient, creative futures. Let's begin. Right where mom meets machine. Everybody,
Okay.
say your name.
Ray. Max. I'm Wes. I'm Ray. Don't forget Asher. I'm Lucy.
Okay, great. And so we're gonna, you guys know the drill, right? We're gonna ask you questions and we'll just go down the line and you tell us your answer, okay?
Yeah.
That sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, so first question is for Ruthie. Ruthie, what do you want to be when you grow up?
A cat and a doctor.
A cat and a doctor?
I think she means a vet. A vet and doctor.
A vet and a doctor?
I think like a vet and a cat. Because I was taking cares and nurse.
Oh, that's great, Ru.
What about you, Ray?
How about for you, Ray? What do you want to be when you grow up?
An artist.
Please.
Cool.
That would be fun.
What about you, Ashbach? What do you want to be?
I'll say I forgot.
Well, do you know?
I know.
Yeah.
An astronaut.
You want to be an astronaut? Why do you want to be an astronaut?
Because I want to see, I want to have a trip I want to go to Mars.
Whoa, super cool.
In the Milky Way? No. Nothing can get out of.
Why? How about you, Wes?
I was thinking like I wanted to be a teacher, but I don't really know why. I want to be a teacher.
Does it sound like fun? Yeah. What would you want to teach? You know what you'd want to teach?
Lucy.
Oh, fun. Okay. That's great. What about you next?
When I grow up, I want to be a publisher or editor because I really like to read.
Hi, Kendra.
We did it.
I did it. Not feeling that proud of myself. We're going to be great. And then we have to go get our kids.
And we're a typo dog.
Yeah. Okay. So we are here today to be resilient and self-compassionate and talk about your artist in residence project.
Yes.
So the kind of what brought us together in wanting to start having these conversations with each other and wanting to start our own kind of collaboration is this artist in residence program. So
Right.
can you tell us, or me,
What are we doing?
what are you doing?
Okay. I think because, I think the VI4 Artist in Residence program is probably like the best example of kind of the work that I do more broadly. But I was thinking that like actually starting with how I got into this would be helpful too.
Yep.
I was always pretty artistic, did really well when it came to art classes, but struggled because of being dyslexic in most other subjects. And was an absolutely terrible high school student, like not good grades. I think everyone was kind of shocked that I was, made it to graduation. I think that it was really like going through that process. And basically, I ended up deciding to go into cell biology because I took a summer college course where, one other little side note, I decided I wanted to be a dentist when I was a senior in high school. And it was
Okay.
because I had taken jewelry courses and I was like, how do I do jewelry forever? And they're like, well, to make money, you can be a dentist and like do jewelry in people's mouths. So
What?
my jewelry teacher was like, this is like, if you're trying to have a career doing this, you should go into dentistry.
Really?
Yeah.
Art and science has always been
Always
how
been.
you started.
Yeah, exactly. And so I knew was going down pre-med track, trying to do pre-dentistry and still not doing very well in classes, right? So I ended up taking this summer cell biology course at Northern Illinois University, actually, which, I went to Southern Illinois and I ended up at Loyola University. But this summer program in like the middle of nowhere, Illinois, there was this professor that taught cell biology by actually having us draw out all of these cellular structures. And that to me was like this instant like point where I was like, I can do this. It resonated with me. It just made a lot of sense. And so from there, it really was all based on experiences. Like I started doing, I ended up moving up to Chicago. I had friends that were working in research groups at Northwestern. And so they helped me get research assistant jobs at Northwestern University. I was encouraged to apply for graduate school, and I ended up at Vanderbilt University and did my PhD in pharmacology. And so, again, I was never like a great student, but the thing that set me apart, even in research and my PhD, was that I was really good at making graphics and condensing information, right? So, like, once I learned something, I was pretty good at like explaining it and depicting it.
And I'm kind of wondering about how that works in your head.
Yeah,
So when you're receiving this new information, is it kind of computing for you in this way where you're thinking, how can I see this? How
yeah.
can I represent this?
Yeah, when I think it comes to, like, physically, because I think abstraction is really hard, and so what does it physically look like? And I mean, like, if you think about the best way that science is communicated, it's through pictures,
Yeah.
right? It's, like, things that where it makes it probably touches on, like, a connection with, like, physical things, right? And experiences that people have had before, and so, yeah, it's all I think for me, I don't understand something until I can, like, draw it
Yeah.
or communicate it myself. It's kinda like how they always say, like, the best way to learn is to teach, and for me, that just always ended up being, like, graphics,
Okay.
right? And, so as I was going through grad school, I knew I didn't wanna do research. Like, to me, I actually didn't wanna do all the hard work of actually, like, coming up with the stuff. I loved the end.
Okay.
Like, I loved putting the stories together. I loved sharing the information and contextualizing it. That to me was, like, the most fun. And so I ended up doing a postdoc that was, basically half research, half education, where I got to work with students all the way from, like, kindergarten, up to, like, undergrad, who were doing undergraduate research, experiences. And kind of in a similar way, I ended up basically running this, like, research group when I was a postdoc with, like, I don't know, I think I had at the time 4 or 5 undergraduates and 9 high school students, all of whom were studying brine shrimp, tadpole shrimp, like, have you heard of sea monkeys? Like, these little
Yeah.
weird little things
Uh-huh.
to study membrane filtration and how things move across barriers. And it's this really niche little thing, and, like, honestly, the concepts don't really necessarily matter, but the thing was that, like, all of these students ended up communicating to each other and to me through drawing. And so, like, I ended up having, like, 13 different, or I think, because some of them were already, I'll say, indoctrinated into the sciences,
Yeah.
right? But, like, I ended up having these beautiful drawings. Some of which were done by early high school students and were really great representations of some of, like, the cutting edge things that we were learning about this model system,
Yeah.
right? And then I was like, "Well, these are such beautiful drawings, why I'm kind of bummed that, like, no one gets to see them." And that's actually the first time that I started ArtLab, which was in 2017, was just, like, really kind of selfishly wanting to, like, show all of this incredible work. And it kind of snowballed because then I started realizing how many artists were actually, or how many, I'm sorry, how many scientists were actually artists, right? And it wasn't always 2D art, it was music or it was performance or it was, like, that creativity came in so many different flavors. But I think that some of the best scientists that I've ever met have some of these, like, other more artistic leanings. And so, the VI4 Air program, long story short, I ended up leaving Vanderbilt, creating a company, which is now ArtLab Studios. And so I'm the CEO director of
Yeah.
ArtLab Studios now. And at the same time, I'm managing director of data science at the University of Pittsburgh. And I think, like, right now in particular, there's this really interesting, it's really kind of scary time, but also interesting time for we move forward in society, especially with higher ed, especially, like, thinking about creativity and innovation and the necessity that comes with some of, like, what I think we're all going to be experiencing for, like, a technical revolution. And I think the VI4 Artist in Residence experience, which is the Vanderbilt Institute for Infection, Immunology, and Inflammation, is the
Yes.
best example of the types of, like, experiences that I think are just so needed and absolutely necessary
Yeah.
for us to move forward as a society and as a culture, honestly.
I agree. And I think it's wild that you use the word selfish when you're talking about it because it is so not selfish. And just the idea that I'm just thinking about these high school students who were able to create something to help themselves understand something. So I think about the things that I've been most proud of are like acronyms when I'm studying.
yeah.
I've gotten so deep. And I'm like, what mnemonic or what acronym can I use to remember this? So that's as a not artist myself. But so I'm thinking about how incredible that must have been for these students the first time you said, like, I'm not throwing that out.
I'm
not.
putting this in big
Yes.
posters.
Going on the fridge.
So, guys, have you ever seen anything like computer generated? Like, how do you know? How can you tell if a person made something or a computer made it?
So if a computer and a human were building like a house, probably the computers would be better.
Really?
Well, are they drawing a picture of a house, or are they like building a whole house? Yeah. Well, if they're building a whole house, humans are like humans. They can do like what they choose, but robots are different. They are coded to do one. A robot's house is nearly always going to be better because they're programmed to do something, one thing. And they're not. Humans are not programmed to do one thing.
What do you think? So, Max,
Well,
if we get into a problem, like who does better problem solve, a robot or a human?
humans. A robot has into it. It doesn't have a brain. It's programmed to do something so that they'll do one thing right. But that one thing doesn't always include problems.
How do you know a human made like that art, or was that a robot?
Well, I think humans don't really, or rather, robots don't really have creativity.
Humans don't, or robots?
Robots don't have creativity. Like, looking at this, a robot could make that, but it would need to be programmed to make that exact thing. So a human would have to make it first. They would have to just like say, move the pen right. So
And tell it.
even if a robot was making that, a human would probably make it first.
That's interesting.
Or would at least have the idea of
Yes.
what to be made?
Yeah.
Ruthie, you want to tell us your joke now?
Yeah.
Everybody, we're gonna have 1 second just for Ruthie to tell her joke, and then we're gonna continue.
1 second. Why did they do it?
I don't know.
Because
That's so
I
good.
have a joke.
Yeah. And so like there's that part of it that so for me as a psychologist, that's obviously what I'm gonna be my interest is piqued in
Yeah.
being able to show that growth and experience and show that kind of love, honestly, for what the students have created.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that you brought up love, because I think so much of it, and you'd ask me like, what's the secret sauce in like communicating science through art, and I think it's like this empathy and love for people and being able to really want them to understand and engage with
Yeah.
your stuff. And then you also have to be open, right? And so like love, I actually think is the perfect word for what these programs are intended to do. And it's a mixture of like you have to communicate your love. You have both directions, and it's multiple people, right? So it's collaboration. And then, I think the creativity and innovation is both we've talked about this with emotional intelligence, like
Yeah.
internal and external, right? So there's this sense of like you need to know yourself, but then you also need to empathize with other people and where they're coming from.
Yeah, and I think that's done through language is what I keep thinking about too. Is so there's that feeling of, and I talk with my hands so much that I'm just kind of like showing this growth in my own mind. And so when you have this feeling of excitement for another human, just like how beautiful that
Yeah.
connection immediately is.
Yeah.
So to see someone's art, to have love for someone's art, and to grow that excitement, it's contagious, right? So
Totally.
then they end up feeling that same kind of bubbliness of excitement.
Yeah.
And that changes their experience of what art is, what science is.
Right.
So just being excited about something changes the whole game.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, that's totally true. And I think connection, these are all the things that I think are it's really challenging with like where we are in society and technology, which is part of society, but like the technological pressures, including, I mean, last time we talked about AI and how it was impacting, Max's future
Yeah,
career in
yeah.
writing. And I think that is a real barrier, because I think that like on the one hand, for being a writer, for being an artist, people are going to easily say, well, AI can do that, so why would you, right? but that's not it. It's and like that bubbliness, I don't think people are gonna get the same bubbliness, love feeling
Yeah.
from an AI as they will a person.
At a cellular level.
Yeah,
Like, yes.
exactly. There is something, and I think that's been something I've done all of my careers. I follow things that give me, like, good vibes because
Mhm.
I actually think that's the only thing that's gonna save us
Love
as a
that.
society.
I think that's fantastic. I think that kind of the good vibes only got played out with COVID and like it kind of turned into something that wasn't that beautiful. But I
Right.
really like the experience for our own, for ourselves, for us to follow what makes us feel good, to
Yeah.
follow what makes us feel joy, because we're losing a lot of that
Yeah,
in our society.
totally.
So to make sure that we're kind of keeping those connections open for ourselves. I'm thinking about kind of my own experience in using AI with art. And so, but, so my kids is starting to create these stories,
Yeah, love it.
and like the way that they have, had, what's the Gemini? Is that,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So asking Gemini to create these different images for them and then playing with it. And so you and I have spoken about this
Mhm.
in starting to do that with kids. And
Yep.
they've found like, okay, that's not the word I can use if I want to make Gemini make this picture.
Right.
And so they have to be creative and they have to be artistic in the way that
And
they're
adapt.
speaking and
Yep,
adapt.
yep.
Exactly. So I think when we try to pigeonhole something as AI is bad and scary and is taking jobs and is going to make us, kind of these robotic, that's what we've got on it.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
exactly. Well, that's like I think, listen to an awesome article that actually came out, I think today from the New York Times, and I wanna make sure I get it right. So
Yeah.
it's "Decline in Our System," basically talking about the decline in culture, right?
Yeah.
And so it's the Age of Extinction by Ross Douthat
Okay.
for the New York Times. And the first thing he says is that every great technology is a destructive shadow. Those depths swallow ways of life in new order rendered obsolete. Which I think is like so interesting because it's been making me think the way that they actually talked about it was very biological and thinking about bottlenecks, right? And AI is a bottleneck where like we are in control where there is going to be some job loss,
Yeah.
right? Because companies are going to be trying to optimize their efficiency. But and so like the time to create a book, like the first draft of a book you can throw through AI and maybe that's your opportunity to refine it, right? But there are things that we can control in what comes out after this because we're going through this big revolution of AI and how we use it. I think that ability to adapt is crucial
Yeah.
because you're going to have this increased pressure. We're working our way through this bottleneck, but also like I think this is a really important time to identify what values we have, what we want to care about, and like, for me, being creative and connecting, and I think it's more like creating in my own head is fun, but like doing it and with other people and connecting with people is like the most fun, right? Like that's the good vibes. That's the bubbles. And so I think that is what we want to actually make it through this bottleneck.
Yes. I love that. I think that's such an explorative process. And there's a whole kind of therapy that's values based therapy. And so, honestly, created by a concentration camp survivor
Oh,
who
wow.
talked about how can you find freedom and how can you find your own ability to make choices in a
Yeah.
period of time where you feel like there are no choices and they're being taken from you. And we do that through living accordance to our values and finding out. And so when I ask people that as a psychologist, what are your values? It's a lot of blank faces. And so we have this amazing, I love to do a values card sort with people. And so
Oh,
taking like
cool.
just a list of words and saying, which are the things that are most important to you, medium important, least important, and kind of sorting through that deck.
Yeah.
And so it's what I do as a pain psychologist a lot, talking to people who maybe used to be a marathon runner
Yeah.
and now have MS and are no longer
Yeah.
able to run. So, what was the thing that you loved about running? Was it being outside? Was it being with friends? Was it the athleticism? So, finding the value in the activity.
Yeah.
And I think when we start that process of exploration, so what is it about writing that you love so much? Is it about story, creating, sharing?
Yeah,
And I love that
exactly.
when we get to the bottom of it, we start to find what's truly important.
Yeah, no, I mean, the value, I think, because of the pressures that we are feeling both like socially and politically and from technology, it's going to require us to be very intentional and thorough in knowing our values and how we're going to execute on those values.
So, Ruthie, do you have a robot or an Alexa at home? You do?
We have two Rolex.
You do? And what is the funniest thing? What's the funniest thing your Alexa has ever said?
To every people. And I'm gonna tell you what every name they tell us
What is it?
is swallow.
What?
Swallow.
Lala?
Lala?
Yeah.
What about when it doesn't understand us? Is that kind of funny? Is that what I'm talking about?
I
Yeah,
do.
okay.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
You guys have an Alexa.
Probably
What's the funniest thing that your Alexa said?
our Alexa in me and Wes's room. It has some pretty funny poop jokes.
Really?
Yeah. Like what's your team playing the toilet bowl? Number 1, number 2. Yeah. And then there's also and this is one of the worst jokes on Alexa. It's a really bad dad joke. What were the balloons' last words to their dad?
The balloons last words?
Yeah.
What?
Watch me pop.
when I asked it to roast me, it went into the Amazon shopping account and found frequent orders of cream makeup, mom, and roasted me on that. Mom, here's what it told me. Here's what it told me.
What did it tell you?
You found one fashion obsession in 2017 and we're like, yep, this is it. This is what I'm wearing for the rest of my life.
Hey, Mom. And then there's also this. What I said that I was talking to Wes. In the nighttime, I said I'm one of the best players on my team,
Yeah.
my soccer team. And then Alexis said, great at soccer. Do you want to make up a soccer story or do you want to listen to one of mine?
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And that's
Yeah,
another
like-
joke.
You like that it
That's
gave
a
you a
joke.
soccer?
I don't think that's one. That's like a
You
real
like
one.
that it gave you a soccer story? And it was like,
But we never said we wanted a soccer story, so it never Stab my phone. You're not trusted with that pen. Sure. When the light was red.
why?
Because he said Jacob and he said
Do you think that robots have feelings?
No, I feel like theoretically you could develop them to actually have feelings, but no, I don't really think so.
Wes, do you think they have feelings?
No.
No.
So does that mean sometimes do you say like really rude, mean things to Alexa and it's not going to hurt her feelings?
I mean, you're still not really going to say like a rude, mean thing. That's not really
But
a helpful practice.
when Wes ever says I have feedback to Alexa, he's like Alexa, you're an idiot. No, you're a dummy.
That's what he says?
He says shut up to Alexa.
Do you say things like that to Alexa? Or do you speak nicely to Alexa, or what do you do? How do you talk?
I say nicely to Alexa.
And so, yeah, I think what I'm hoping, like, and kind of going back to why we got together on this originally, I'm hoping that I can kind of work with you to both identify what has made this so good. Like, I think it's been the impact that it's had on people, right? And then I want to like just nail it. Like, I just think we need to do that very fast. Like now is create these programs and opportunities that are so specific and so intentional to connect people, right? But one of the biggest things that people got out of Art Lab for both artists and scientists was the value of mentorship, again, that like people connection part. That I think like that collaborative piece is just so important. And I think that has a lot to do with what we've already talked about like knowing yourself, knowing who you're speaking with, right? And doing that communication through an artistic medium.
Wild political times is trying to figure out what can we do? How can we help? What can we do? And for me, as a mom of 3 boys, all I keep thinking is I can make good humans. If I can make these humans good, then that's a political statement.
Right.
If I am making these men feminists, that's a political statement.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking about this VI4 program, fostering people who are compassionate, collaborative, curious, making connections with people that they might not have made connections with before. And I think we've lost so much of that in our society is we've got the blue people and the red people, and we very little kind of make the purple people.
I love that.
So that's kind of what we're doing here is or what you have done in your program is to be able to bring people together who might not have been. Yeah. And so we know kind of, I'm thinking about this from a neurological place and kind of the way that neuroscience functions is that when we start to create connections with others or with like a different way of speaking or different way of communicating or collaborating, we literally grow our brains, right? We're able to create these new neuromuscular patterns. And so as we start to like have those neurons firing together that never would have done so in the first place, it is, I think what you're doing is so, it's just, it is, I think it's incredible from head to toe, just what this is doing for people. And I think that the results that you're finding are fantastic. And just, I think, and a lot of that comes from what love can do to the brain.
Yeah, I love that. I've actually never really thought about the program as just being love, but that's how I feel about the program. And I mean, it's not been easy in a lot of times because I think it's hard to always justify why, like, I'm this little art program next to
Yeah.
like these big, like $1 million plus, research labs.
Yeah.
But it just feels so important. Um,
Okay.
okay. Yay, did
I
it.
think that's
Ding, ding, ding.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye bye.